So, look at things on the bright side. Let's start fresh and new here. Next team we're going to be talking about in the Pacific Division is the Seattle Kraken. This was a expansion team last year. Everyone thought because Vegas did so well in the first year, Seattle was going to do the same thing. And no. Like that Vegas was just... When Vegas was crafted, right? They were crafted at the perfect time because expansion happened a bit and that new rules they had and all that wasn't perfectly like the last one when Columbus and Nashville were made.
Yeah.
So Vegas knew how to circumvent the system. So GMs weren't as dumb. The other DMs made Vegas a contender. Yeah. But I'll have to say this is that, it was a rough year for them. Yeah. But all things considered, you had a fan base there. You have a new fan base there that are really embracing this hockey team. Even though they were not a great product night in, night out, people still showed up to the games. And that's an important thing. I mean, I couldn't say the same thing for Vegas. Like, if the Vegas team started out bad, I don't know if people show up. So let's go to Seattle here. You have, 81.5 essentially in a cap hit, $1 million in cap space. And this is a team I feel like that's a bunch of castaways. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you got Jaden Schwartz. Is he out for the season? No, he's did it. Okay. Matthew Berniers. You have Jordan Eberle, right? You have Jared McCain, Yanni Gord, Andre Borozovsky. Is he out for the season? He's unknown. Okay. You have Oliver Borkstrand, Alexander Wenberg, Brandon Tanev. You have Ryan Donato, Morgan Geeky.
Tanev is out for the season, though.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yep, he is out for the season. That's right. It was at ACL. Yep. Jonas Domonsky. I mean, I don't think this is how the lines will shake up. I mean, maybe it will. I mean, up front, I think they're like an okay offense, right? But I don't see anything like earth-shattering.
No, I mean, again, you look at the other people in this division, and unfortunately, these guys don't stand a chance. You know, I mean, Edmonton, Calgary. What are you guys doing against those guys? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and again, there's another team that has injury woes, and when you have this many injuries going into a season, it brings up the question, like, where are you, right? Where are you going to fall? What are you going to do? Tanev being out, Tanev was one of their most, I think he was their most notable player last season. Not point-wise, but like whenever you played,
heart and soul guy.
Yeah, you saw him, getting into the nitty-gritty, getting into those spaces. He was, but well, I don't know if you ever saw his actual his picture, like.
Yes, I have. That is a meme. That is just like wide-eyed. Yeah, it's so funny. The one from Pittsburgh. Oh my God. Yeah.
It's just like, bro.
Intense.
But losing him for the season, right? Who do you have that can come in and fill in his role?
His role. I mean, I think there's multiple guys that are going to have to step up.
Yeah.
I think you have. This is a competent offense, right? Like the first, I don't know if this is how the line's going to shake up, but you have 23 points, 9 points in 10 games. Because that kid looked like a rookie last year. 44 points, 79 games. And the second line, they have 50, 48, 61. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have some guys that can score around 40 between 40 to 60 points. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be an atrocious offense. Like I think this offense is far better than San Jose.
Yeah.
Just on paper and just in looking at things.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Eberle, I think he underperformed last season. He's definitely better than that. Obviously, he played for the Islanders for so long. I've watched what he can do. I think that he can definitely do better. And it's one of those things, it was an expansion year last year. They went through the rough start. It wasn't the Vegas show, right? And it's one of those things that now you got to find your identity, right? Right now their identity is being a scrappy team, but now your scrappy team leader is missing in action because he's injured.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, where do we go from here? What do they want to do? It's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I think it's kind of a situation where you lose a guy like Tanev, just a heart and soul guy. I mean, but you're gonna have other guys that step up, I feel like, and can fit that role. I think a signing that I was kind of shocked is they re-signed Ryan Donato at $1.21 million. Like, that's not a bad hit for him. 31 points last season. Ryan Donato's been one of those guys that I think is in, like, as a Bruins fan, I thought he was a little overrated when he was here. They were expecting him to be a top 6 guy. That was never going to happen. Just he didn't have that game. But I mean, in the fourth line role, maybe third line fill-in at times. I think he's pretty competent. It's just you're gonna have players step up, and I think Seattle's gonna be what a true expansion team usually is for the first few seasons. Like, gonna be a bunch of guys that are just trying to stay in the league, come in, and some guys will kind of excel in that type of environment. Some others won't. But because I see a lot of these guys would be really good second, third liners on contending teams, but then they're asked to do more on this type of team. So, I think that's going to be kind of something, to watch. I think they'll be better than last season, though. I think like it has to be.
I mean, the one thing I do like about their team is that offensively, it's spread out. All 4 lines have to contribute. If all 4 lines aren't contributing, they aren't doing their job. Because if you look at their point totals and point scoring and everything, even with the guys that were there only for a short stint, like Matthew Beniers, who looked like a rookie, who they drafted and they brought up. He played 10 games, 9 points. That's good.
That's
right?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Now you want him, to see if he can do that in a full season, right? What else? Every line has, guys at 20 points just about at minimum or higher. Their second line would be technically their first line. They're all at the 50 point mark. Their third line, you have one almost 60-point scorer. Then you have
37
points. And then the other guy, he's got 15, but Tanev, he only had 15 and 30, which isn't bad. A full season, he probably would have had 40 points. Easy,
yeah. So,
right?
so like you have a bunch of depth scoring, and I think that's important. I think they're going to be goal scoring by committee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be one singular player that like shines. I mean, Beniers, I should say. He could maybe be something special because that's nice. 9 points in 10 games as a rookie. That's pretty solid. But it's a small sample size, so that could be also a one-off thing.
Right.
But he was drafted, second overall? Yep. So, I mean, I'm hoping for his sake he pans out. I mean, now you look at this decor you got, what's Vince Dunn? He's only unknown. So, Vince Dunn, you got Adam Larson, you got Jamie how do you say that? Alcasaic? Alcasaic?
Alcasaic. Yeah,
Alcasaic. I apologize for butchering. Justin Schultz, Carson Saucy, William Borgen. I mean, obviously last season on a really bad team. -21, -23, -1, -15, then 7, then 1. I mean, like, none of these defensemen to me stand out as, like, elite. I think Vince Dunn's a nice defenseman when he's on his game, if I remember. But Larson's okay. I think Larson's probably, maybe a bottom 4 type pair guy. Jamie Alstott, I'd have to kind of really look more into his game, but he's 6'7", so, size matters. And Justin Schultz, he's a solid defender. I think the defense is just kind of like average.
They're average, but I mean, you look at their point totals, and you have to know that their defense plays a crucial part in their offense as well. They have to distribute the puck. They have to get shots on net from the point. So it like we said before, it's kind of like the whole team has to contribute in this scenario, including the defense, and it's okay. Again, unfortunately, much better than San Jose. I'm sorry, San Jose. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but numbers don't lie, and their numbers are better than San Jose's.
Yeah. I think, I mean, one of the shocks to me, and I think it was just the sum of the parts, man, but the goaltending sucked last season. Like, and I was surprised because I was pretty high on Chris Driedger, not as much as Grubauer because I've seen Grubauer play. I just thought he played in Colorado where, Kemper went there, just won a cup, and I don't think Kemper's an elite goalie. I think just Colorado's a very good team because Grubauer was actually in Vezina consideration. But let's just go into it. Philip Grubauer, the starter, 55 games played, 3.16 goals against, an 889 save percentage, 18 wins, 31 losses. Driedger did nothing to steal the job, though. So 27 games played, 2.96 goals against, 899 save percentage, and 9 wins, 14 losses. Now, I'm not blaming solely the goaltenders on this. I think some of this was the sum of the parts around them. But I do think your goalies need to at least be around a 9 save percentage. 900. I think that's just kind of inexcusable. And obviously you got to see better team defense. But what I thought was going to be a strength for them, it seemed like just couldn't rise to the task. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I watched some of their games last year, and I'm not trying to bag on Grubauer, but like even in games where I think Seattle played pretty well, like Grubauer would kind of let in that occasional softie, and then it just kind of kills it because Seattle doesn't have the scoring, in my opinion, to keep up with a lot of teams. So when you have a goalie letting in 1 or 2 bad goals, it's defeating in a sense. With Driedger, when I saw him play, it was kind of but I think goaltending, I think the team defense has to improve. You got to do better in front of your goaltenders, but these goalies need to step up and really kind of, help this team fight for, a better finish than last season, to put it that way.
Right. So with their current roster, right, the big question now becomes, at what point do you look at your prospects, your kids, right? Like your Shane Wright. How ready is he? Will they throw him into the fire right away?
Yeah.
Or are they gonna, drop him to the A and let him play a couple of games and then possibly bring him up, right? All these things are gonna matter. All these prospects, they're gonna get their chance, I believe. Their roster isn't the worst. I say it's okay, but okay leaves you in the bottom 2 of this division, right?
Yeah, because it's a deep division.
Exactly, but they did get a lot of players in this draft that look like they have something that they can contribute to the team. Obviously Shane Wright was the big name, who was projected to be the number 1 pick and fell down to the number 4.
Due to his attitude,
right? Due to his attitude towards, I guess, the people he met with, his attitude dropped him down. I don't know him. I will not comment, speculate, but that has been what has been said about why he dropped down to number 4.
Yeah.
Now did he get humbled? Did he learn something? Will he get the opportunity, and will he have that chip on his shoulder to prove himself? Right. That's going to be most likely seen within this season. I think he's going to get a chance early in the season to play and maybe see if he can contribute or do anything. Yeah,
I think like a guy like Shane Wright, use him. Because for example, that actually would probably work out pretty well. Maybe put Shane Wright, and I believe this with young players like Bernier's and Wright, like they're your future, right? Bernier's is 19, Wright's going to be 18. Here you go. Here's another center. Go up there and show me what you can do. Shane Wright was, talent-wise, the most well-rounded prospect in the last draft. Now, people think, in Montreal, Slavovsky. I can't say it. I almost had a stroke. Shout out to Good. My thing is this, is like, he might have a little bit more top-end talent, but Shane Wright is the most well-rounded player, and I think he could still be a top-type center. I see no reason why not to. You're not going to be good next season, right? Mm-hmm. Give the fans something to look forward to every night. Like, let Shane Wright develop at the highest level. Don't bury him on the 4th line or 3rd. Like, let him play at least top 9 minutes. Let him play in the 3rd line if you have to, kind of slow start him. But I think it would be kind of foolish not to play Shane Wright, because, like, what are you going to do? Have him just sit in the minors or the juniors? That makes no sense. Like they have a prospect pool here. Like they're,
Yeah, it isn't bad. I mean, look, the position where they picked were pretty high. So obviously you have intentions with these guys. I mean, you look at the first 3 prospects that they have up here: Jaeger, Yanni, and David. Right, all within the top 61 players that were picked. So they had to have shown something that made you say, I want them this high, within the top 3 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
So put them to work. I mean, they're on you're paying them, right? And right now your team needs something else. And maybe even if they can't give you that something else right now, maybe you develop them into the players that you want them to be.
Yeah. I think it's going to be key. You got to have a balance, right, in my opinion. Because I think with the Edmonton Oilers, like in the early days of Taylor Hall and like a bunch of draft picks with like Nugent Hopkins and Eberle, right, like all those young players, I felt like they never really brought too much veteran leadership in. So I think you got to have like a half and half, in my opinion. You got to have like half the room full of like veterans that know the NHL and have been productive players, and then mix in with youth. Like with a team like this, allow these players to flourish. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I looking back into it, I'm going to scroll up here. I mean, 30, like 32. I mean, even a guy like Eberle, right? And he might be a good heart and soul guy. I don't know how much you could get for him on the trade market at that 5.5 cap hit. But maybe you look in dealing him. Maybe you look at like looking at these other guys if they look like they're developing at the lower levels. I'm not saying that's what they do, but I'm of the belief when you're an expansion team and you kind of went with the youth movement, just embrace it and let these guys develop at the NHL level with some quality players alongside of them.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. I believe that right now, right, the reason that the NHL seems heavy on one side, like the teams that are contending, they're contending. There's no rebuild necessarily going there. Why? Because they did their rebuild over the past couple of years. And now the rest of the league is kind of following suit. Like, let's face it, a particular generation of players is coming to an end. And now we're looking for the guys that are going to take their place. And, again, you look at teams like the Rangers, they're stepping into that scenario where they rebuilt for the past like 3-4 years, and now they're getting to where those young players are being, the difference makers. Now they're the players that they were looking at to begin with. And this, it took years. It wasn't like overnight. A lot of these teams, again, Seattle's a new team, but they're at that point because they got those misfits out of the draft and everything. They're at that point where it's not a rebuild. It's an actual, hey, we have a base. Now we need to improve on it. Now it's time to bring in these young guys, and hopefully they can bring that next level game into this team and take them to the next level as a team overall.
Yeah, I like. Listen, I think Seattle's got a bright future. They got a bunch of youth, got a bunch of promise, and I think there is some potential there to really kind of hit that next level running. So, like we always do, let's go to the division. Where do you think Seattle is going to finish next season?
6.
Ooh, okay. You can
Six.
finish 6?
I think San Jose falls. I think San Jose falls. They're either going to be 6 or 7. Nothing great, nothing bad. Again, Anaheim has put themselves out of that bottom 3.
Yeah.
So for me, it's, last, I see San Jose in the last position. I see Seattle above them. And depending on what we see with the next 2 teams, Vancouver and Vegas, they can easily be 6 or 7. I don't see Seattle being any higher than that. Maybe they grind out and miraculously get a number 5, but that's gonna be tough in this division.
Exactly. I'm kind of the same ilk. 6 or 7. I'm more leaning towards the 7th spot. Seattle fans, I will mind you, you're an expansion team, and I think you have a ton of promise. Like I think within a few years, if the cards fall right, like where they should fall, I mean, you could be looking at having a very competitive team for a very long time if you draft well. I think if Shane Wright develops what he should be, Bernier's turns into almost a point per game player in 10 games. Not bad. If he stays on that pace, he's Hall of Fame. Not saying he will, but you have a bright future. So I'm not as high on them this season, but I do like where they're going.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Anything else you got to say about Seattle?
No, that's about it.
Alrighty, so